All right, we just finished our second film for Gialloween for Schlock Talk. This was called Blood and Black Lace. So, another Mario Bava film, same year as uh, The Whip and the Body. This one here is, at least according to this, all the colors of Giallo is supposedly the definitive Giallo. However, Joe Bob Briggs is did a night this year on the last drive-in where he actually disputes it against Dario Argento's The Bird with the Crystal Plumage. So we haven't watched that with Joe Bob yet. So that won't be tonight. Who knows? So I guess it's still going to remain to be seen which one is the true first Giallo. So to start us off here, Alora, what did you think of this film?
I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked the colors in the movie, and
How would you compare them with the last film with the
I don't know.
use of color?
I liked the last film more.
Oh, okay. Well, the colors I think were more vivid in the last one.
Yeah.
Very bright.
But there was a lot more deaths in this one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, that's certainly a staple Giallo, and that's one of the things they did bring up in the documentary. All the colors of Giallo is how this one starts to have the formulas that we associate with the genre.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the movie?
I had a hard time following all the characters.
Yeah, well, that's another thing for Giallo is all the characters. This one definitely had a lot more characters.
Yeah. And I don't really remember who the woman at the end was at the beginning of the movie.
So the person who owns Le Haute Couture, actually, I guess it was Christmas Le Haute Couture.
Christian?
I thought it was Christmas.
Oh, that was Christian.
Oh, maybe it was. I don't know. Yeah, so she was the owner. She's the countess.
Oh.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
No.
Okay. I'm glad you liked it. Because I certainly have more Mario Bava films to show you. Chad, your thoughts on this movie?
I liked it. I guess I'm gonna have to disagree with Joe Bob and say this was like I think this was like the proto Giallo movie. I mean, it had all the elements.
Yeah.
The killer with the black gloves and the slashing, all the victims, and it seemed I mean, we've seen Bird with the Crystal Plumage, and that was pretty clearly Giallo.
I do want to see that one.
I don't remember when that one came out.
I thought I saw that one.
No, you saw the end of it when Bill was here.
I don't remember the year of that, but I think it was after this. So.
Oh yeah, by at least a good 7 years or so.
So I think this one seemed like have all the elements there. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't.
Well, it's certainly something to contest, which is why, because actually, I do remember when we showed that one to Bill, and I was telling him about it. There were other people that thought that was the. So it wasn't just Joe Bob. There were others.
I'm just saying that because you mentioned Joe Bob earlier. I'm just saying I sort of contest that. This one seems like the kind of the proto Giallo movie, even though they don't really call it that yet. But.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to.
It's kind of like, but it was made the same year as the other movie, and it had some of the similar, like lighting and stuff. But this was obviously more set in modern Italy, or then modern Italy. So.
Yeah, the other one could have been set in any time period, really. I think.
Yeah. So this was, So I thought it was, more interesting. And I don't know. I just thought it seemed very much. I mean, I think that the Bird, the Crystal Plumage was definitely a lot of, it was definitely sort of bigger. It was, like more people getting killed and more, who's the killer, and there was just a lot of lots of scenes in that one. But this one seemed kind of just like how where it came from.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting how it even plays out with it towards the end, because we kind of find out who the killers are, and then the movie kind of keeps moving right along.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the things that still weren't solidified. Maybe that's part of Joe Bob's argument. I guess we'll have to watch The Last Drive-In.
Yeah, we'll have
some
to
point.
watch see what Joe Bob said.
Probably with both movies. We probably have to watch both movies again. So it might not be soon, everybody, but that's.
Yeah, I think
that might
I'd
be
want
where
to
we're
hear what
moving to.
Joe Bob, what he thought and why he thought that, and I'm just I'm not just disagreeing, but I just I think this one seems had all the elements of the giallo films.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I think so I mean, Dario Argento obviously is big in giallo, so he.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting to say that in all the colors of giallo, that even Bava continued the genre well after its heyday.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be kind of curious to know more about why he did that. I mean, he obviously loved to do these films. It seems. Once he had maybe he's just keep trying to improve on the formula. So I'd be curious to see some of the later ones. Because I mean, in this documentary, they're moving on to talk about Dario Argento. I don't think they're going to go back to Bava, from what I understand about how this documentary plays out. So
yeah, I just have to see that too.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else you had other thoughts?
Again, I
about
thought it was a good movie, and thought it was kind of well paced. It wasn't definitely a lot quicker than the other.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just surprising they both came out the same year, because they're both very different.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the second one kind of you learned some things in the first one and then applied it to this one.
Well, maybe I'll have to show you both Baron Blood, which is a horror film from Mario Bava, because it came out, I think, around the same time as well. And
so he was a pretty prolific about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, back then they must have just had a lot of budget to work with. I mean, eventually the Italian cinema kind of died out with the advent of VHS. It's the end of the 70s.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess I don't think anything else to add other than.
Okay. Well, if you want to switch on to me here, I guess I'll see what I have to say about it here. All right. So, I like this movie quite a bit. I think that part of the thing about watching a lot of these movies with the formulas is that this one here, because we've seen a lot of other giallo, in ways it's not quite as interesting, because we know the formulas now.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get a more early film like this, it's not quite as novel as it would be if we hadn't already seen a bunch of giallo. So I would say that's sort of a weakness in a way, but that's really not the director's fault. That's our own way,
kind of the
way we've approached the genre, not knowing anything about it, coming in the middle, and watching much later giallo.
That one that was like.
I'm still admiring Bava's use of color here. I just wasn't aware he was into all these different colors. This one had a more pastel kind of look to the lighting. And it was more subtle. It was more the background rather than the foreground. And the other one, the whip and the body, like people's faces are in full red and stuff, whereas this one is more like maybe just the side of their face and things. Yeah, I really still want to know why he was using so much different color. I'm sure that someone talks all about this.
Well, didn't in the documentary we saw, it said that he started off as a cinematographer or something?
Yeah, I think though a lot of these are like that too.
But I guess it's probably a common kind of career path. You'd be like a cinematographer and then maybe go on to director. And
Yeah. I thought this one here, I liked a lot of them trying to investigate. The investigators were following along with them a bit, things like who all was in the car would know where the car alarm was in the car that one of the murder victims had borrowed, and I liked it. I like to try to follow that logic along. I really feel like the characters started to really develop in this one. Like some of these characters, I was very interested in knowing more about them, and they just kind of ends. People are getting killed off and stuff, so you don't really get to learn much about them. And so that was why I was thinking to myself, wow, maybe I need to find some books that these movies were based on, because then maybe you get more background on the characters, seems like they used to write books that way, where you'd have like these long segments about each person's life, like slice of life type of background before you get into them. And I think this is the sort of thing I need for this movie to make it more. I don't know. I just found the characters very likable. None of them really, some of these movies, the giallo, the characters kind of seedy and kind of like you wouldn't really want to have them as friends. I mean, even in this movie, there's several addicts. This was at a time when addicts were sort of portrayed differently. They're portrayed like everybody else. They just have this habit. And even though that's still the case, we still want to go and, respect these people who have these issues. Back then, it just seemed like wasn't really, didn't have the same stigmas attached. Like it was there, but, it was kind of like this is sort of a upper crust of society based on, one of the women has servants and things. So it's just kind of pushed to the side. It's not really the main point of discussion. So I guess that's why I would want to know some of these characters better, just because they didn't really seem like unsavory sorts for the most part. I mean, we do find out who the killer is, and I wouldn't want to be friends with them at all. But beyond that, I think most of the rest of them just seemed really friendly. I mean, they were all just pretty much co-workers in a fashion shop of all things. So that's my main thoughts. Nothing too crucial. Although I definitely want to see more Mario Bava films now that I've seen these two today. So I guess that's a win for Mario Bava. All right, well, that's it for this Gialloween, unless you want to watch something later. So, yeah, I think you're pretty tired. Yeah, Uncle Dom's kind of wore us out. It was really good, though. I found out that this place in there called Tango something or other was the same Tango that was in our building. So that's kind of cool. So Laura got to have the El Diablo cake dessert that I didn't think I never get to try again.
More of a mousse.
Oh, well, more of a mousse. Yes, this is really good. So if you do go there, check out the El Diablo cake. All right. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.